Blind spots and office politics. Whew, y'all, I make a joke that I don't have a lot of advice about this. I just have tread marks because, yeah, office politics. I hate to use the P word in these days and times, but that's what it's called, where you see people taking sides or they have hidden agendas. They're making power moves. They're trying to climb the ladder, even if it means climbing over you or on you to get higher in the organization. If you don't actually know what I mean, then you're lucky. Here are some simple examples. We're talking about people who are talking behind other people's backs with negative intent, or people who take credit for work that somebody else does, people who intentionally damage or misplace or ruin something you've worked on. That hasn't happened to you. You haven't seen that happen. You are lucky because it does. People who act like a friend to you and then go actively discredit your work behind your back, or those favorites, you know them. Favorites who always get all the perks, they always get all the attention in the office. Now, is it their fault that they're the favorites? Maybe not, but there's a lot of these components that go into office politics. Sometimes people are lobbying and actively making sure that they are the favorites. What else? What about when somebody is diminishing another person or team? They talk about them negatively. They can't do their job. They're so bad at it. Let me take over. Behind their back, you're doing these things. So those are things that happen all the time in the office, right? There's also the wild complainer who's always late but can't get things in on time and it's never their fault. There's the sarcastic person who shows up in the team meetings and, makes little quips or snide comments and distracts the conversation and brings the energy in the room down. There's the person who dismisses your concerns when you say, I'm really worried because somebody said or did something to me and it impacted me. And they say, oh, grow up. That's just the way the world works. There are so many components to office politics. And some organizations put policies in place to try to minimize this, to prevent it. The truth is, many organizations don't. And so, if you were in one of those, or if you're in a situation where you've got to deal with office politics, then today's lesson is for you. And it's about how you can minimize or mitigate these situations. The first one is know your blind spots. You want to work to avoid being caught off guard by your own blind spots. So earlier this week in an Instagram video, I was sharing that one of my blind spots is expecting people to act correctly towards other people, just behave well. And that when somebody acts nicely, it doesn't also mean that they will make the right choice or treat you correctly. So people being nice to you, but then doing awful things. I always get caught off guard by this. So know your blind spots and be ready to work to avoid being caught off guard by them. Second, boss yourself. If you don't know the specific steps for my online course, then I highly recommend you go take it. Yes, that's a shameless plug, but there's a lot of information that people either don't know or have forgotten about how to be a leader for yourself at work and to really establish a good network and relationship. So boss yourself. I'll put a coupon code so it's discounted for you in the comments below the video. I suggest you take the course. My third point comes from that course. It's a key component in it, and that is the more you make yourself known in your company, creating relationships outside of your team, in addition to and beyond the people that you work with, that better your chances are that somebody will help you or support you when somebody else is coming after you, trying to take what's yours, trying to diminish you, or you're going through a bad experience at work. Fourth, pay attention to what's happening around you. So, who's walking down the hall together? Who's in the parking lot together? Who's in the Zoom meeting and how are they acting before you join? Or who stays? They're the last ones because they're going to hang out and chat after you're leaving. When does that happen over and over? Who tells you things that you didn't know? Who's regularly talking about other people in the office? Who's complaining behind somebody's back? Who kisses up to the boss? I can go on and on here, but the point is you need to take notice of who you work with, who they are friends with, who seems to be able to get things approved or done when nobody else can. If you ignore that, then you're going to be less prepared to really strategically make your own alliances and avoid impact when it comes from those people who are out for power at the expense of anybody else. Take a step back and observe yourself. Remember, we talked about blind spots. If your blind spot is that you're paranoid that everybody's out to get you, then I really want you to look for somebody in the organization, not your friends, Because if you're thinking that everybody's out to get you, your friends are probably sharing the same opinion as you. I want you to look for a fair and unbiased individual and get an opinion. Is it true that somebody's out to get you in this company? Is there validity to your feelings in the situation? Be very, very self aware here. Because what we find most often in leadership is that it's the little tiny wars on the ground. It's people who just don't like each other, or they feel like somebody else is stealing their thunder. They're positioning and doing little tiny turf battles, stuff that doesn't mean very much at the end of the day. So I want you to be aware of, really get aware about where you are and whether the situation that you find yourself in is valid based on an unbiased observer's opinion. All right, back to bossing yourself. There is a component in that course that I'll mention just briefly here. It's popular right now to say, be yourself, be your authentic self. And I want you to be your authentic self in life. Where I will caution you is choose whether you're going to be your authentic self in this role at this job. How do you do that? You look around you, see who you work with, listen to what they say and how they say it. Look at how they treat people and what they do. If being your authentic self in that environment is going to have negative impact on you, you need to know that. Now, you may choose to continue, right? You may be trying to change the environment. Great, hooray for you. If you don't want those negative impacts, choose not to bring all of that authenticity to this role in this job. Do it in your life. Don't do it in this work. Or guess what? If you don't choose to do it and change the company, you can also choose not to work at that company. The ball is in your court. To be fair here, when it comes to work, we're all out for power. Like all of us want our own space. We want to be able to make a unique impression and be able to do good work that we're proud of. Some of us are out for power so that we can make ourselves and work a better place for us, for our team, for our customers, etc. There truly are people who are out there with the best intent. The reality is there are also a lot of people out there who think me first, me, and they're looking out for themselves. They're going to rise any way they need to, and they are not terribly concerned about the impact on you when they do it. When you get in somebody's crosshairs like this, right? When somebody is ruthlessly coming after you, don't betray yourself. Know your own values and honor them even when you go into battle with somebody else at work. Understand what you're battling for. Understand who supports you. Make sure you've put the steps and the work in place to have support at work. Remember, there's a reason that people say sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war. Keep that in mind. Have a strategy. Understand what you're really going after here. We always talk about war and work in the same sentence. Why is that? It can feel like a battle. It can feel like war sometimes, as people can be challenging, especially when we're not working together and when we don't have the right leadership helping us really learn how to work together. Don't be naive at work. You don't have to like the situation. You can do something about it. You can choose not to engage, but make sure that you are aware and understanding what is happening around you and that you're not being taken by surprise in these situations. Have a plan in place for it. Stay professional, focus on your work, treat others with respect, build your relationships. Don't be the person who is stepping on other people. Don't gossip about them. Don't steal their glory. Be solution oriented. Know when to pick your battles, know when to speak up for yourself, and find support. That's important. There's lots of people out there, lots of experts in the field. So I'm going to put a few of these tips on the screen here. What I want you to remember is a lot of times these tips are for leaders setting the top line culture and environment. If you work in an office that doesn't discourage office politics, then I want you to use the tools we've talked about earlier. But I'll leave you with these suggestions and this great insight here because it will help you realize we're in this together and you can make a difference. Be a boss leader.